Hey guys, it's the electric eccentric cast. Um, I'm here with my co-host
Damian.
and your host Anastasia. Today's topic we're going to be discussing the minds that matter, about young minds, about people that haven't fully developed their frontal lobe, or people that are still wanting to learn new things and haven't settled down on a biased opinion. So, one of the topics we're going to be talking about today is proper teachings or focuses for children. What do you think are some proper teachings for children, Damien?
Well, I think for starters, some proper teachings could be their religion to start off with. Maybe nothing like crazy, maybe something basic, how everybody else starts off with their religion, how they're born, how their parents were raised. It's not like a bad thing to learn where you came from at a young age. You might learn something that might be useful in the future.
Um, I'm not too sure about the religion. I believe that a child could grow up believing whatever they want to believe. It's like, yeah, I could tell you about God. I can definitely tell you about a higher being that's there. But that's all up to you to believe.
I'm not saying like to force it upon them. I'm just saying, teach them what, their parents believe in.
Yeah, but what I believe that we should focus on that's more important is like finances. When children are young, they don't really have money. It's all the money that comes from the parents. But getting them their own bank account, their own checkings, when you put savings into their bank account for them, they'll end up having, a lot of money by the time they're 18.
Better credit.
Good credit. They could end up building everything for themselves. Like they'll have a new start for when their lives actually get to like college, or not even that. Maybe if they don't want to go to college and they start a job, they have money in their bank account to
Look,
get themselves an apartment to start off.
me personally, I don't think they should be learning that young. Like maybe a good age to start learning that is like before you graduate from middle school. Like you shouldn't be learning that in elementary.
I believe you should be teaching them along the way. That children should also be learning how to, you know, color and play and learn new sports, but it's also good to teach them how to fix a couple things. Like, if you get your child a play set of handiness, is like you're kind of teaching them, but not really. You're not taking the time to show them how to do it, or, you know, the actual tools for it. Take somebody who's lived in a city and somebody who's lived in a country. Half of the children that end up living in the country end up taking on the parents' roles, like farming and paying bills. They end up maturing more faster than city kids, because city kids have everything for them. They have all the corner stores right next to them, all the schools right next to them. They don't have to do anything for themselves. So I believe, teaching them along the way. Like,
But would you really want to like rush a kid out of their childhood? Like, take me and you for example. We were kind of rushed into being more mature at a young age.
definitely not, because I didn't even know how to take transportation when I was 17. And it's like, that comes from neglect. That comes from a parent not teaching you things at a young age. That comes from a parent not wanting you to actually learn it all.
I'm not saying to not teach them, but I'm also saying to not force it onto them.
It's not forcing it. It's teaching your child at a young age how to use things. Like, if a child is 4 years old and they're just learning how to make friends and they're learning how to communicate and properly talk and show their emotions, you will teach them how to control it. When they get angry and they start throwing things and yelling, it's like, hey, let's learn how to be more calmer. Let's learn how to use our words and explain why you're upset. It's the same way when they get older and they start playing with little pots and pans. It's like, oh, you want to learn how to cook? Let's teach you how to cook. Let's teach you how to cut things. Teach you how to pour some things right. Let's teach you how to clean up your messes properly. It's like you're teaching a child how to do these things at a young age that when they turn, let's say, 10 years old, they'll know when there's a mess in the kitchen to clean it up after themselves or clean up after other people or have the common decency to wash some dishes. Or when you're sick or you're out at work and it's been long and they haven't eaten anything, they can make it themselves. They don't have to suffer or order out or, call you to come home early. They know what to do. They know how to take care of themselves. And I don't think it's taking the childness away from them. I just think it's teaching their brain to be more mature and help themselves or help other people.
I'm not saying to not teach them the basic things, but I'm saying to not teach them the advanced things, like how you were saying, bills and money and stuff. Why do they have to worry about that at such a young age? They're not making any money to be worrying about saving and all that.
Because when they turn a certain age, they're not going to have the proper, how can I say this? They're not going to have the proper ability to have financial stability. When your child hits a certain age, and I'm not saying just 18 and you kick them out, but when your child hits a certain age where they want to spread their wings, they should already know how to do those things for themselves and not learn it while they're on their way. Like, a bird doesn't learn how to fly once it gets its feathers and it, actually starts flying. It learns how to fly at a very young age by getting tossed off of the nest to see if it can survive on its own.
That's basically that's teaching a kid how to walk.
Notice how inflation is happening. Notice how money is rising. Notice how money back then isn't the money that's going to keep your house and your lights on and your refrigerator running. Money's value continues to go higher. So the more years you spend not having children, when you end up having them at 56, money is going to be valued so high that your child is probably going to need $5,000 to even get themselves groceries. Like, do you understand how that sounds? Imagine just having, let's say, this is just hypothetical, $2,000 in your bank account. And that's enough for you and your child. However, everything continues to cost more money. Money's value continues to get higher. So the money that you have isn't going to be enough for your rent. It's not going to be enough for your food. It's not going to be enough for your clothes. So you have to constantly earn it. And when you're earning that money, it's possible some parents will live and struggle to know that their child is going to survive in the future so that, probably eventually that child will take care of them. Excuse me. It's showing your child how to be responsible, how to never let anything, get you in debt. Always be on top of your work, always be on top of what you have to do. Eventually, your child is going to learn not everything is all puppy and rainbows. Yes, let them live in that world, but also advance them. It's like, yeah, you can still watch cartoons and learn how to write essays. You can still go outside and hang out with your friends to come home and do what you have to do, cook, clean, and just live as a person. I wouldn't want to know that my child is 15 years old and they still come to me, to my bedroom, tell me to clean their bed, tell me to clean the kitchen, tell me to clean themselves. I would already expect my child to do that already. And I wouldn't have to tell them either. I wouldn't have to be a scolding mother like, hey, pick up after yourself. Hey, remember to take a shower. It's like my child is already on top of that. I never have to remind them.
Like I said, it's not bad to teach them the basics, but to teach them more advanced things, you're just going to put them into more stress at an early age.
I believe I would be setting them up for the exact future. Like, for example, talking about their careers at 15 through 17 or 18. It's like, I'm giving you a head start on thinking about what do you want to be. Maybe not even what do you want to be right now, but what would you see yourself doing right now to benefit yourself? I wouldn't have a child working for me and their money going into my pockets. I would let them work, or, let them figure out what they want to do with themselves and let them give it a try, give them a chance. It's like, before you actually start working in the real field, let me see how you do at home. Let's give you a practice before, you go out in the real world. I don't want my child having anxiety or feeling like they don't know what to do. I would like to help them out before they have to present themselves in a real situation. It's like, at a young age, you teach a kid how to put out a fire. Eventually, they'll end up learning how to put out a fire. They won't freeze and stutter and be like, oh my God, oh my God. They'll be like, I know what to do. I know exactly what to do. Let me go handle this situation. That's how I see teaching your kids at an early age. If my child is already thinking about wanting to become a chef at like 14 years old, it's like, well, eventually you'll probably come to know that you would want something else later in life. But if that's what you want to do, let me teach you how to do some certain dishes. Let me teach you how to wash a dish properly. Let me teach you how to season and do all the things you want to do. And later on, let's say maybe that's not what they want to do. They don't want to cook anymore. They want to do architecture. It's like, you know what? Let me teach you how to put in certain screws. Let me teach you how to do these things. Do it yourself. Show me that you know how to do it. Put up, I'll give them like little tests. I'll get like new furniture for the house. And it's like, hey, set this up. Let me see if you can set this up. They'd be like, I need help. It's like, hey, do it first and let me, later on, we'll take it out, undo it, and let's correct it. That is teaching a child how to do something. It's not babying them. It's not doing it for them. It's them learning themselves how to do human things, how to do real life things. And, they don't need to learn every single thing at that time, but it's periodically. Every stage, every age, you learn a new skill, you learn a new hobby, you learn something new that you'll never get bored of. They'll never get bored of themselves. They'll never find themselves bored. They'll never find themselves like, oh, I have nothing to do, or that they're useless. They'll always have a new idea. They'll forever be creative and they'll help other people. It's like, that's what I believe children should be focusing on. You shouldn't be too worried about the internet or about influencers and what's going on in their lives and, wasting money and all that. I think there's better things your child needs to learn before hitting a certain age, rather than feeding them things that are useless.
That's also another thing. I seen this video one time, mother's mother saying to the internet that her infant identified as gay. Like, she was saying that her baby came out as gay. It said itself it was gay. They like boys as an infant.
See, what I would do, in my opinion, if I had a child at a young age tell me that they may like the opposite sex, I'm not gonna deny it, yet I'm also, how can I say this? I want to encourage it, to be honest. If my son feels like he would like to wear a dress, I'm not going to tell him no. I'm going to be like, you can wear a dress. However, again, certain stages when they get older is like, you should talk to them about how they feel. Like, hey, are you still positive that you're attracted to the opposite sex? Would you like to, try out something else? Would you like to try new things? Would you like to learn new things?
But that's also kind of like, it makes it seem like you want them to be something else. I think if they want to be attracted to the opposite gender, or the same gender, that if they want to try something else, you should let them instead of just asking them. Like, they have every opportunity they want to try whatever they want at school, outside in the streets. I mean, maybe it's not smart to try outside in the streets like that, but you have school still, like a friendly environment where they can see if, maybe they like the same gender, the opposite gender. Maybe you shouldn't ask them if they've changed or if they want to try something new. They might make it seem like you want them to change.
I'm also not going to force them into being with the opposite sex. Like, if they be like, oh, I'm starting to think of being with a woman, I'm not going to be like, yeah, go for a woman, yep, try it, of course. I want to ask them are they sure they're comfortable with that? If someone sees themselves a certain way, it's only right to ask. It's not your place to set that up for them. It's not your place to already force something on them that they believe is wrong. It's like when you try to teach, how can I say this? Like, if a child is stubborn and a child believes something is one way, it's like, well, you ask them questions. How do you believe that? Where is the evidence? You have to make them question themselves, not make them think that it's like, oh, no, I can't do that. My mom said no. No, I can't be with that person. My dad said no. It's like you're teaching them how to be like obedient to other people, or you're teaching them to be obedient to you, that they'll never want to express themselves to you. They'll always feel like there's something blocking your relationship. I want my child to feel free to talk to me about anything. If they heard someone say, oh, shaking your ass is really good, like you're teaching men how to love you better, and they come to me and they're like, Mom, does shaking your ass make a man love you better? It's like, where did you hear this? Where did you believe this? They tell me where they got it from, maybe influencers, maybe kids from school, maybe
people like Ice Spice telling kids it's okay to do that shit, getting kids online to do that.
It's like, I want to teach that child. Not, I want to be like, well, shaking your behind is an inappropriate move, sexual move that attracts the attention of sexual people. You're craving the sexual appeal. However, other dances that are traditional, like hip-hop, and actually doing some moves like the Dougie, the pop and lock it.
Like I was saying earlier, their culture, their religion, like people from their religion, they do dances and stuff.
I mean, I wouldn't keep them away from their culture, but I would definitely show them the better side of their culture, not just the hood rat one that everybody likes to attract to more.
No, but just showing them their whole culture, not just parts of it. Why showing them parts when there's a lot more to who they are? And
they're going to learn it all eventually. Showing them the good parts, like the good old days, or like, even nowadays, like singers like J. Cole and people that actually bring messages in real life. It's like, I want to show them that first. It's like, look at all this beautiful art. And then look at what everyone else seems to revolve around.
But how you want them to learn eventually about their past, or like not their past, but their race, their people. But you'd rather push them out of their childhood first.
Huh?
So you would rather wait for a kid to learn by themselves about their culture and their like ancestors and stuff, but you wouldn't mind like going on like teaching them right away about more advanced things, pushing them more out of a childhood.
Because they're already going to see it in their everyday lives. They're already going to be exposed to it because of the generation.
Wouldn't you think that's what the things you want to teach them to, that they'll be exposed to this outside too, and they're out like
You want me to
adventures outside.
teach them it's okay to shake their ass? You want me to teach them it's okay to jump on top of counters and slap old people? And
No, I didn't say any of that, but I'm just saying, is how would you rather want to teach them how to be an adult faster than you'd rather teach them about how to be an adult faster about instead of like teaching them about their ancestors and their religion, about who they could be, who that they might want to be, or what they might want to be a part of.
because the difference is I'm actually teaching them how to take care of themselves rather than teaching them that other people can take care of them.
That's not
You
what
feel me?
religion is about. Religion is religion.
I'm not saying religion. I'm saying I want to expose them to the real life of working and learning how to make money and learning how to cook and clean and learning how to fix things instead of actually teaching them our generation right now. That's not important for my child. What's important for my child is for them to worry about themselves and their future and their kids later on, or the person they're gonna love, not about stupid internet shit, not about anything that is not going to help them at all. They don't need to learn about the hip hop or the music that they're making about suicide and fucking bitches and getting all these girls pregnant and having pregnant women in their music videos. They don't need to learn things like that because they're gonna be exposed to it anyway. Let's say I have a child, hypothetically, let's say I have a child this year. Everything that has been happening this year, then the next year, then the next year, they're all going to be exposed to, and eventually they're going to learn how to have a potty mouth. They're going to learn to do gang signs. They're going to learn how to do these things depending on what I expose them to, right? So let's say I'm living in LA. They're going to be like most LA kids.
That's what I'm saying. Why wouldn't you just teach them their culture to see that you could be this instead of that? Why would you want
That's
to be like
exactly
a
what I
hood
said I
rat?
was going to do.
Exactly. So why would you want to be a hood rat when you could be like the rest of your people?
What's the rest of the people?
Your culture. Like how your people did things before. Not like the same way, but like it's not a bad thing to teach them about their culture. Like same way how it's not a bad thing to teach them about growing up faster. It's not a bad thing to teach them about their religion and ancestors. I feel like personally for a kid, learning that is more important. Not more important, like it's both pretty important, but to force a kid to grow up faster, you're just pushing them out of their childhood. You're gonna make them not really see the childish things as every other child sees it. Every other child could be having fun. And you'd be like, and your child, because like you'd be sitting there like, damn, how
There's
why are they doing this
children
when they
who
could
are
be doing that?
16, 17, 18, 19 who are not in college. They don't know how to take care of themselves. They don't know how to fix themselves a sandwich. They don't know how to mop. They don't know how to clean. I'd rather my child learn all that rather than be dependent at an age where they shouldn't be. I'd rather them, again, not forcefully, but to teach them. I'm not forcing anything on anyone, but for them to forcefully grow up and not learn anything, not even to know how to fold their own clothes, not even to learn how to put a fitted sheet on a bed, not even to learn how to clean their own floor, how to take care of their dog, how to take care of themselves. So I'm not forcing them to do that. It's like that's necessary. That's important. Like I have family members that don't even know what to do with themselves. They have someone to depend on because they're doing it all for them. They don't even know how to do laundry. It's like I don't want that struggle for my kid. I don't want my kid coming at me at 17 years old. Hey, can you wash my clothes for me? Hey, can you fold my clothes for me?
So what do you think is appropriate age for them to start learning all these things?
Again, periodically. all throughout their whole entire life, they should learn these things.
But
Certain kids at this age don't even know how to make a bank account. I'm not even going to lie. My mother has neglected me for so long. Again, I didn't even know how to take the train at 17 years old going to high school. It's like everyone eventually is probably going to blame me. You know, I didn't look at the signs. I wasn't paying attention to where I was going. I wasn't taught anything. The only way I was taught was how to go somewhere, get lost, and then find my way back. That's learning. I'm remembering things. I'm making my brain move on its own. I don't have someone telling me where to go. I don't have GPS telling me, oh, go take a right, go take a left. It's like I'm learning that all on my own. That's exactly what most of our parents did back in the day. Their parents kicked them out, and look at what they learned how to become a parent on their own. Of course, most of them weren't perfect because they learned it all by themselves. They didn't learn how to get loved. They didn't learn patience. They didn't learn any of these things. They had to get it themselves. And most of them neglected that part of themselves. They neglected the soft side of themselves. They think being tough and teaching their kid how to fight and argue and battle and all this stuff is making a strong soldier. It's not. It's making a weak-minded person. Because all they're going to learn is how to act with their feelings and not act with their brain. I want my kid, if they were ever in a situation with a bully, they are the bigger person. And they're going to be like, you know what? I know you're just projecting yourself onto me. You're projecting your hate for yourself onto me, and I'm not going to accept that. I'm either going to glad to be your friend, or I will gladly be your acquaintance. That will make a kid shut up. That will make a kid freeze so bad and be like, what? And it's like, yeah, you probably don't even know what an acquaintance is because your mother has never told you. It's like, I want my kid to be very advanced. Not advanced where they felt like they haven't had a childhood. I want them to be advanced where everything was balanced. Excuse me. At the end of the rainbow, for them, is a mansion. At the end of the rainbow, for them, is the life that they wanted to live. Not the life that I'm, trying to, how can I say this? Because I'm not setting a life for them. I'm not telling you, oh, you have to grow up to be a doctor. You have to grow up to be a musician. No. You're going to learn all these skills and all these different aspects for when you learn what you want to be. It's like, hey, I'm so good at cooking, I'm going to become a chef. Hey, I've gotten so good at learning how to fix a sink, I'm going to become, I'm going to be a bathroom installer. It's like you can do whatever you want with your life. If you decide to quit a few months later and do something else, I gave you the skills to do that. I gave you talking skills. I gave you actual skills. It's like you know what to do. You'll never be in a situation where you'll feel stuck. And if there's something that you haven't learned, who will they go to? Their mother. Because I've created such a strong bond, such a strong sense of self within my child. It's like they know I'm always going to be there to give them advice, to always be there, to be a role model, an influencer. That's what I think an influencer should be. Someone that actually does care about children and their reputation later on. Not just the now, it's also the future.